Hey guys, it's Sean O'Connell, the managing editor here at CinemaBlend with another recap episode of episode 4 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This one called The Whole World is Watching, a significant title that we learned all about in the final scenes of this somber and really season-altering episode. So let's dive into everything that we figured out. Naturally, this means we're going to be getting into spoilers, so if you have not yet seen episode 4 of the current season of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, make sure that you back out of this right now, and we will catch back up after you've seen the episode and are up to date on all of the details. So we're going to start with the blood on the shield. That final shot of the episode is one of the most striking images that we've seen in the MCU to date. And it really just shows or encapsulates so much of what the show, The Falcon and Winter Soldier, is trying to wrestle with, which is the importance of the symbolism of the shield and people who are against it, and people who are afraid of it, of its legacy, and people who don't think that other people are worthy of it. And a lot of what was discussed in this week's episode was what the super soldier serum does to people. Does it enhance who you are? Or does it give just about anybody the power to do the right thing? That was interesting because when I got a chance to speak with Erin Kellyman, who plays Carly Morgenthau, and I actually asked her, super soldier serum, I'm curious, does it make you a better fighter, or does it just enhance skills that your character already has?
I think it enhances what she's got in her already.
Okay.
I think that, yeah. It's an enhancement.
Which proves, as we sort of saw over the course of this episode, that Steve Rogers is the exception that kind of proves the rule that the super soldier serum doesn't make anybody into this noble idea of a hero, and that this pious, almost almighty version of a Marvel superhero that Captain America is extremely rare. And, you're not going to get a Steve Rogers every single time. You're going to get people who are complicated and who have flaws. And the blood on the shield and the cell phones capturing John Walker, giving in to his anger and his frustration and his grief over the death of his normal partner. There's a point earlier in the episode where Walker sort of gets his rear end handed to him by the Dora Milaje, and he kind of realizes just how over his head he is in this entire situation. He essentially says, they're not even super soldiers, and I couldn't even take them. And so you could see why the draw of taking the super soldier serum was important to him, because he doesn't think he can be in these fights if he doesn't have the edge. But the serum just enhances who he is. And even though he has those medals of honor, even though he's a decorated soldier, he's not a good person. He's not pure of heart the way that Steve Rogers was. Nobody is. It's a little bit why Bucky was afraid, or Sam was afraid, to take over the shield in the first place. Sam knows that he's not Steve Rogers, but Sam is at least that sort of middle ground, which brings us to our second point that was really explored a lot in this week's episode, which is the definition of a hero, right? Sam and Bucky feel like they're in this sort of middle ground area where they're willing to do a certain amount of stuff in order to right the things that they think are being wronged, but they're not either as radicalized as Carly would be for her given cause, or as bullish about the way that things should be done the way John Walker is. They kind of understand that need for a hero has evolved to the place where they need to almost negotiate and figure out both sides. And that kicks back to the last episode where Sharon was essentially saying the way the heroes operate isn't necessarily the way it used to be anymore, and there is no clear-cut, pure, good way to do something. And that shield is a representation of the old way that things were done. Probably can't be done this way anymore. And some of this was explored in Civil War. A lot of this was explored in Civil War, actually, with people asking the questions of, who has the right to do these things? Who has the right to be a hero? Who has the right to have that power? What different ways can they exert that power over people who do not have it? And I think a lot of those conversations come with, I know Captain America was wrestling with a lot of those conversations. Clearly, Sam is wrestling with a lot of those conversations. And they're doing it while they're trying to juggle both John Walker sort of nipping at their heels, catching up with Carly, and maybe trying to have her see the error of the things that she's doing, even though she believes that she's doing them for a very specific reason. I know that they're trying to evolve and become the heroes that the current political situation needs them to be, but Zemo, I think, is still pulling strings, and now he's gone. I want to point out that really fun sort of visual nod to Walker coming through the door with the gun over the shield. To me, was a very distinct visual throwback to Captain America: The First Avenger, which shows Steve Rogers coming through a door with that very same pose. So this show asks a lot of questions that trace us all the way back to the Captain America: The First Avenger, and who is worthy enough to take the serum, and who is worthy enough to hold the shield. It goes obviously through the Winter Soldier, with Bucky being experimented on. And I found this to be really, really interesting too. So like starting in Wakanda for this episode is very cool, and this still holds under the theory of the definition of a hero. He also has the serum inside of him, and after he's been deprogrammed, he is much closer along to being the hero that the serum would turn him into. He's been making up for, or atoning for, his past sins as the Winter Soldier, doing everything in his power to sort of make things right over the course of this storyline. And it's another example of when the serum is given to the right person, as long as the right person is not being programmed by Hydra to be a lethal weapon, that they are, at their heart, at their core, they're a good person, and they're going to do things that are heroic, and that it took something that was going to tip John Walker to the other side to have him show his true colors and become the U.S. agent that I think he's going to be. So let's do a quick update on the Power Broker. Still one of the biggest mysteries of this show. We don't necessarily know who it is, but they are extremely upset that Carly does not have the serum anymore. And not only that, but Zemo eliminated the man who could make the serum. So that was very deliberate. And it leads me to believe, so there's a lot of theories out there about who the Power Broker could be. It could just be Zemo. Like, I wonder if it's... I don't think it's Zemo, because Zemo then would have collected the serum instead of destroying it. But he absolutely, I think Zemo knows who the Power Broker is. Some have speculated online that the Power Broker is Sharon, or that Sharon is, like, working for the Power Broker, but I don't think that's the case either. I don't know. I wish I had better guesses about who the Power Broker is. It'd be cool if it's someone that we knew. I don't necessarily want it to be someone who's completely new to the series, so that when the reveal comes around, it's like, oh, that's who? Like, I don't understand who this is, kind of thing. But it's setting up to be someone much bigger, and someone who would be invested in the Super Soldier Serum as a program. Well, I want to hear your guesses. We got a little more details. We got a few more threats from the Power Broker sent Carly's way. Carly absolutely seems to be underwater in terms of what she's trying to pull off here, and I don't know how much longer she's going to be able to keep it up, especially now that she's killed Lamar. That's going to come back to haunt her, and it's going to really bring in the full force of John Walker, if John Walker is in any position to continue being Captain America after everything that happened. And I can't, again, like I cannot say enough about that final image of this episode. Just a tremendous visual representation of how far this experiment can fall when placed in the hands of the wrong people. So give me your best guesses about the Power Broker in the comments down below. I want to hear from you guys. Also want to hear what you thought about the episode. Are you surprised that Walker went this far? And what do you think about Carly? I mean, I know I got sort of roasted in the comments when I gave Carly a bit of a pass for saying that I kind of at least understood what was driving her actions. And I know that they're extreme, and I know that she's killing innocent people, and I'm not trying to defend her in any way, shape, or form, but like, I'm fascinated by the idea of people who thought life was better when the blip had occurred, you know, when half the population was gone. And I think that that's a worthy topic to explore in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So far, all these Marvel shows have really dealt with consequences. Obviously, WandaVision dealing with the consequences of Wanda's grief. Loki looking like it's going to deal with the consequences of him escaping with the Tesseract. And so it's fun to take these big moments that happen in the MCU movies and then go deeper through them over the course of these multi-part series. So we'll see where they continue to go. To make sure that you do not miss our breakdown of episodes 5 and 6 as the series comes to a close, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications, and we'll meet you back here next week for our breakdown analysis episode of episode number 5 of the Falcon and Winter Soldier.